What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
2018, it's the last day of 2018, everybody. Happy New Year's Eve. I hope everybody has a safe New Year's Eve. Make sure you get your Ubers and Lyfts when you leave the party, as it were. But it was a crazy year for me. It's a solid year being back in the desert, experienced the desert summers again, 115-degree weather. Thankfully, it never got up to, apparently last year or the year before, it had gotten up to 125. So thankfully, it stayed 115, maybe 116. Definitely, it was not a great time of year to be outside. Financially, a very tough time of year as well. But yeah, so I'm very thankful. One thing that this past year has helped me do is find a new focus. Not a new focus, but kind of readjust everything. Because before, when I was in Denver, it was all Inspired Disorder podcast. Thankfully, I started doing artwork again regularly out in Denver, which I've been doing regularly. I've done 306, well over that, because I've done up through half of January. So well over 365 original pieces of artwork, ink paintings, part of the many faces. There are over 600 now in total. I hope to, by the end of 2019, which I'll talk about tomorrow, I will hit 1,000. So that's something I'm looking forward to. But was able to maintain that this year, which I'm very happy for. Brought a bunch of different size pieces, did some larger paintings, which I was very nervous about. Those are the ones that are being released right now. I had to film them in a different way. My phone, which I usually use to take pictures of all my artwork, the camera is broken. So, my phone is just falling apart. So this past group of artwork of paintings, I had to use a different camera, which required more work to produce. There's more work for everything, and I was able to get it out, 30 new paintings of the larger size, which I'm very proud of. This show is something that I started, I don't know, halfway through the year. I think it was during summertime I started this show. And this show came about from, I was doing the Inspired Disorder podcast with Keith in Denver. I had to move, ran out of money, had to come back and live in my friend's garage while I basically avoid being literally homeless. So when I moved, I wasn't sure. I wanted to keep podcasting, but I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. I'm not able to set up a studio in which I can get guests on at the moment, let alone a co-host. So it was pretty much narrowed down to doing solo podcasts of some sort. I was doing the early retirement, Ray Loves Movies. I even tried to bring back the Inspired Disorder podcast for a while. But then Instagram came out with their longer format video service, IGTV, which is also presented in a portrait mode versus landscape. That's why. So I decided and it's 10 minutes in length. Unless I think if you have more followers, you can do up to an hour. But with all those restrictions, I decided to just go all in and produce a show that's specifically for Instagram TV. And that's what this show is. So that's why I film it the way I film it. I literally use the fonts from Instagram and the GIFs from Instagram, and then Bitmoji, which is a different thing, but you can use those on Instagram also. I use those things to make the artwork and graphics for the show. So it's all, for me, once I figured it out that I was going to do this show, I started doing 3 episodes a week, just to kind of feel it out, see if I like doing the short format, because I'd been used to doing long format, anywhere from an hour to 3 hours per podcast. So going back to 10 minutes, which is exactly what YouTube was like when it started. When I did my very first podcast, the Billy Dallas Show, back in 2007, 2008. YouTube was limited to 10 minutes unless you had certain accounts, which I didn't. So the Billy Dallas Show was 10-minute show. And I'm back doing 10-minute shows, but completely different. I've got a decade of experience under my belt, at least on the production side. One thing I'm working on now that I've got the whole production of the show nailed down and the production schedule nailed down, is just to improve. And one of the things I massively need to improve is my ability to speak and look at the camera, just basic fundamentals for being in front of talking in any manner. So I'm doing more prep, and it's grown. But now that I have a focus, it makes it so much easier, because now before it's like when you're a kid or even an adult and you don't know what you're going to do with your life. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And now I do. I have refocused on, doing this show on a daily basis. So it started out 3 days a week. Then once I got used to that, it's like, well, I'll do 5 days a week, just add 2 more episodes. It's fine. And then once I started doing that, I was like, well, what's 2 more episodes? So it's like, I'll just do 7 episodes. And still filming all in one day. I do everything from zero to uploading and scheduling. Everything happens on a Sunday. So Sundays, I'm busier. Like my most efficient Sunday, I'll get done at 10 p.m. If I wake up and start working immediately when I wake up, the best I've been able to do is get done at 10 a.m. The worst, 3 a.m. 10 p.m. 3 a.m. the next morning has happened multiple times where I'm just up. And a lot of it's just rendering video because I chop everything up. It's uploading video. But I love it. I love the process. I love Sundays. As at no point do I feel burnt out. Distractions are definitely a burnout. Technical difficulties can frustrate me, but for the most part, it's been an amazing run. 147 episodes, I believe, so far of the Ray Taylor Show, and they come out every week. The Inspired Disorder podcast pretty much ended. I mean, I would say it ended with Keith. My attempts to do it solo, it just shouldn't have been that. It's like I shouldn't. I had to experiment, but I would say that they end with Keith. But they did end this year legitimately. Patreon, I've refocused the Patreon, so members have actual things that I want to do. Talk about that tomorrow, all the things that I'm going to be doing there. I watched a ton of movies, over 100 movies I saw in theaters, with Movie Pass actually helping for most of the time. But now Movie Pass is pretty useless. There's one theater that I can kind of see movies at, but other than that, it's something that I'm probably going to be canceling. My van has had tons. If I was still in Denver, I would have been so fucked. So fucked. My tie rods in the front end needed to be replaced. My radiator went out. Tires needed to be replaced. Just a bunch of things that I never would have been able to afford in Denver, and I would have been stuck. It would have been so horrible. But yeah, so now the end of the year, 2018, December early December was some hiccups, but this time of year, there's always hiccups. But overall, I'm really happy with where I'm at, where I'm going. And tomorrow I'll talk about some things I'm looking forward to doing this year. But Happy New Year, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day, great night. Be safe. Uber, Lyft. Don't drive drunk. Please don't drive drunk. You don't need to be killing yourself or anybody else just to have fun and celebrate the new year. Go into 2019 alive. It's the best way to go in. New episodes of this show come out every day. Subscribe everywhere podcasts are found. If you're a member, become one over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Then you can binge the full week in advance. InspiredDisorder.com for all of my work. At Ray Taylor for me. Have a great day, everybody. Peace out!